When we want to get more done, our instinct is to add more things to our days. More habits, more strategies, more discipline, more output. And we feel like that's the way to get to our goals quicker. But what happens if actually the inverse is true? Instead of adding more, we focus on removing things that are in the way. We subtract rather than adding. And I found for myself, this is often where the highest leverage lies. Instead of adding more to my days, I can look at where I'm wasting stuff, where I'm wasting time, where I'm wasting energy, where I'm getting distracted, and removing those things is often not only a better starting point, but a much more higher return on investment than trying to always add things. It's very counterintuitive. I know for myself, my default, if I let it run on autopilot, will always be to do more. If I have a goal that needs to be achieved, I will try and double my output. When in reality, a lot of the time, we can remove stuff. All right, and subtraction works because it removes resistance. What are the things that are in the way? That I move them, I allow myself to go faster. So think of subtraction as taking your foot off the brake. You're trying to go full speed ahead, and most people add more on the accelerator, but removing subtraction is all about taking your foot off the brake. When you do that, you naturally start to move quicker. So today, I want to share with you 3 mental models that will hopefully help you embody subtraction and removing things from your days. So the first one is from Bruce Lee. He said, it is not about daily increase, but daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. The unessential. All right, so we've got to think about that for our own lives. And it makes me think of a sculptor, and he's trying to carve something out of stone. What he does is he chips away at the stone, gets rid of all the bits that aren't needed until he reveals his masterpiece or his creation. And the whole vision is, how do I remove what's not needed to reveal what is necessary? And when you look at your days and you look at how you're spending time, very often we're just doing too much. And we need to decrease output. I picture myself when I started my coaching business and I was trying to get new clients, and I was posting on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube almost every day. I think I was doing every other day on YouTube and multiple times a day on other platforms. I was setting up complicated email funnels where if you watch certain videos, you get certain emails. I was making things really complicated. And at some point, I ended up being, felt like I was a full-time marketer, just trying to market my stuff. And I really lost sight of what I was doing. I got a bit overwhelmed, and I lost sight of the fact that I got into this to help people, to be a coach. And it took a while for me to get out of that kind of messy phase. But when I did, I removed almost everything. I basically stripped down 80% of what I was doing. And I focused on one offer. I focused on one clear message on one channel. So this basically had me posting once a week on YouTube, sending one email a week, and offering one program. And this just freed up so much of my time that I could get back to doing what I wanted to do and what I enjoyed doing and what I was better at, which was actually coaching people and helping people. So this was a good reminder to myself to strip away what's unnecessary. We live in a world that people always tell you, do more, you need to be doing all this. When I got into coaching, I was listening to all the marketers, and they were saying you have to be everywhere all the time. You should be posting 3 stories on Instagram. You should be on every platform all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, it's okay, I need to do this. And I quickly got lost in the noise. And it wasn't until I was able to step away from that and really simplify and figure out what matters. So when you do this, you realize you have clarity on what actually has high priority, what actually moves the needle. It's this kind of 80-20 principles where 80% of the output is going to come from 20% of the effort. Also, you think about that, there's 20% of behaviors that you do, or 20% of your time, that will drive 80% of the results. When you remove stuff, you really try to uncover that 20%, those hidden gems that have the highest outputs. So that's the first one, to hack away at the unessential. The next one is a quote by Nassim Taleb. And he said, avoiding stupidity is easier than seeking brilliance. We often want to go for the big ideas, the big breakthroughs, the big success story. We want to be smart, be clever, have our ideas validated, do something out there. And that's a noble pursuit, but very often, what we should be focusing on is not making sloppy mistakes. We should focus on not wasting our time, not scrolling your phone late at night, not having those extra drinks that rule out your next day. And although it doesn't seem as exciting, doesn't seem as glamorous, very often doing the simple things well and not making mistakes is going to get you so much further than trying to always seek these big breakthroughs, these big monumental changes. And when you apply that to Simplifying, you apply that to stripping away the things that don't matter, you very quickly realize you're wasting so much time and resources on things that could be avoided. Things that if you put some intentionality into it, they're super easy fixes. There's so many very easy fixes that would probably change your life. It could be going to bed at the same time every night at an earlier time, not using your phone before bed, putting your phone in airplane in the morning, blocking out an hour of deep work when no one can contact you, meditating to clear your mind, a daily exercise habit. All these things, very simple, very easy, very low-hanging fruits. Yet how many of us are doing them every day, consistently? And why not? Because we're probably trying to do bigger things. We're focused on more important things. There's higher leverage things that we're focused on. All right, so this is a good reminder to focus on the small things, avoid making mistakes rather than seeking those big breakthroughs. The third one is a quote by Charlie Munger. And he says, "All I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I never go there." And this one's quite funny, but when you reflect on it, it's also quite deep. And the idea here is inversion thinking, where you flip the problem on its head. Rather than thinking, how do I succeed? You ask yourself, how don't I fail? How do I avoid falling for an obvious mistake? And how do I correct for that? So if we apply that to some of your goals, let's say you want to focus, instead, stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You want to be healthy, stop eating crap and start exercising regularly. You want peace of mind, stop letting problems and things that cause mental disturbance into your world. All right, so you start to flip the thing around. Instead of looking for what you want, you avoid the things that are causing problems. And this is highly effective. I know for myself, it's really good to think of the things that get in the way. What's stopping me from achieving my goals? Because very often removing blockages is actually easier than finding like a new novel solution. Very often the answers are clear. The answers are easy. We're just in our own way and we're doing things that are blocking us from getting to our goals. You don't need that huge change. You don't need to find something new. Just stop making the mistakes. Stop doing the simple things that are leading to all your problems. So how can you make subtraction a daily practice? For me, I like to do it in the form of questions and asking myself things like, what can I let go of today? In which area am I blocking myself? And one of my favorite questions, which I got from Tim Ferriss, is what would this look like if it was easy? And what we're doing here is we're trying to remove stuff. We're trying to remove the mind's obsession with complexity. We're trying to remove all the faff, all the noise, all the blockages. And very often if we do that, we'll end up with a very core amount of behaviors that have a really high output. And maybe your work day is half as long. For example, my day, if I could spend 1 to 2 hours of deep writing, I would get so much of my high quality work done compared to 6 hours of interrupted work. The output from the time, I'd want those 2 hours over the 6 hours any day. And very often we're choosing quantity over quality. Whereas if we strip things away and we end up with the core behaviors, the core habits, the core routines that actually make an impact in a shorter amount of time, that's what we want. So make it practical. Pick something in your life. Pick an area where you want to remove something. Maybe it's an urge to add something at the moment. Remove something that's in the way. Remove something that's holding you back. Remove something that's taking up time, energy, resources, and see how it goes. I make a commitment to that. I'm going to remove. And sometimes you might remove something that's somewhat important. If you do, you reflect on that and add it back in. But most of the time, the things you're removing, you don't need to add them back. It's like you remove a thorn from your hand. You know that wasn't any good. You get rid of it. You remove some of the bad habits that weren't serving you. You don't need to add those back in. All right, so think about yourself. Where can you subtract? Where can you remove stuff? Where can you simplify? And commit to that.